Hello everybody, I'm Tony Craig, this is F1 Grandstand and this is your Friday night Formula 1 news. So, end of the Barcelona test, day 5, all done and dusted. Lewis Hamilton, fastest of all in the Ferrari SF26. We're going to do a full review on the Barcelona test. We're going to be talking about what that may or may not mean for Lewis and Ferrari. Also, Red Bull, a big potential problem for them, according to Formula 1 driver who thinks he's got the inside information. We're going to be talking about that as well. Adrian Newey, hailed as a wizard for his revolutionary design of the AMR 26, and we've got some expert analysis of the AMR 26. Plus, we've got some great video footage, and we've even got some video footage of the Williams. It gets exciting, doesn't it? All going on. So if you are an F1 fan, of course, you're in the right place. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Smash a like on the video if you do enjoy it. And also, if you do subscribe, make sure you've got the bell all icon ticked. That way you can choose which bits of content that you engage with. Hello, everyone. Nice to see you all in the chat. Reevesy, Drop Tune, Nathan, Jaman, Just Dave. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Sudrish is in there. Crackite's in there. Yeah, Friday feeling, man. Hey, Simon. Yes, if you're watching for the first time, make sure you come on in the chat and say hello. Nice to you in there, Simon. Thane's in there as well. Oh, yeah, live chat. Yeah, Geothermal Cat. Yo, yo, yo. Hang on, let me just change it. I'm on live chat. Yes, nice to have you all with us. Yeah, Friday night, bit more fun. We can relax. I hope you've all got your... If you're watching in the morning, enjoy your coffee. If you're watching in the evening, I hope you've got a nice beer or a glass of wine or whatever your tipple is. Enjoy that as well. So, yeah. Interesting day. Yes, we've got video, Reevesy. We've even got video of the Williams. Oh, I treat you all. But first of all, we need to get into the... let's get into the Barcelona test day 5, because it's been an interesting day. First of all, no dramas, no red flags. Okay, but I think it's quite telling. You know, Lewis Hamilton, top of the leaderboard with regards to lap time, and it's the fastest lap time for the entire week as well. Now, I know everyone's going to say, it's a test, it doesn't really matter. Now, you're right, it doesn't really matter in the big scheme of things, because he did a 1:16.3. Now, obviously, I think pole last year in Barcelona was 1:11, so there's still time they need to find, but it's not the point. It's just an early indicator of, well, one of the early indicators of, you know, where the Ferrari's at after 3 days of testing. And I think it's good news for Lewis. He's going to be feeling pretty buzzed about it, actually, because what do I always say? You got to be quicker than your teammate at all times. Even if you're walking around the supermarket pushing a shopping trolley, you've got to be quicker than your teammate. And yeah, anyway, we're going to get into it all. But a quick overview of day 5. Okay, so very quickly, Lewis Hamilton, obviously, fastest lap of the day, fastest lap of the week. Great news for him. Some people are describing it as a glory run because he went out at the end of the day after Charles Leclerc. And I think he just, yeah, I mean, call it what you want. The time speaks for itself. He was quicker than Leclerc, so that's it. Next up was Oscar Piastri. He did 78 laps, which is, you know, pretty good. No, sorry. Yeah, Oscar Piastri completed 78 laps today, which is an improvement. Piastri, don't forget, his run time was cut short because of the fuel. Was it a fuel pump or a fuel issue? They got it back out on track. But McLaren look, they got there late. It is more of a shakedown for McLaren. The Ferraris have had, you know, they did get 3 full days of running in. But improvement for Piastri. And he actually spoke after today as well. And this is what he said. Piastri said, it was good. Nice to get some good laps on the board this morning. Much smoother day than the first 2 we've had. So that was nice. I got into a pretty good rhythm and was able to start to feel what the car's actually like, which was nice. I mean, Piastri being that sort of in the middle, using words like nice, good, wasn't over the top. He's not that sort of driver though, is he? He doesn't gush, but it's too early to be gushing anyway. That's what she said. Lando Norris followed up with a good a good performance. He was second fastest today. It was Hamilton. He was fastest all day, basically, until Hamilton went out at the end and just got a faster lap time. But we also got to talk about the other key performance indicator for this test is how many laps have people completed. Mercedes completed over 500 laps over 3 days, which is, they topped the leaderboard with that. Kimi Antonelli was pretty quick. He was fastest on his second day of testing, and then Russell was quicker than him. Russell did a 1:16.4. And Mercedes, McLaren and Alpine, they got over 1,000 laps on that Mercedes power unit. That's some good data for Mercedes, isn't it? I mean, we're going to talk about it in a minute. I've got a full breakdown of all the laps completed by each team, and it is quite telling. But Mercedes racking up over 1,000 laps of data for that power unit, which is very good news. But the Ferrari engine clocked up some good laps as well. And then Red Bull Ford also did some good laps with them as well. But we're going to talk about all that in a minute. Not that quick, though. Max Verstappen, that Red Bull, not really putting any great times on the board. But again, Red Bull would say that's not what they're there to do. They're in the 118s. Is it concerning for Max? Maybe not at this early stage. But, you know, they are like a second and a half slower than the times that were being put up by Ferrari and Mercedes. So, speaking of that, we're going to go... Let me show you this. Let me show you this graphic. So, these are lap times from day 5 in Barcelona. Now, again, these are unofficial lap times, and a lot of people will say it's only a test, it doesn't matter, blah, blah, blah. And to a point, they're right. But you've got to remember, these are racing drivers. And I don't care what you say, as soon as they get in a car and they're out on track, they don't want to be at the bottom of the board. They just don't. So let's have a look at it. Hamilton, a 1:16.3. He completed 63 laps today. Norris completed 83 laps today. Now look at these. These are all above or around Grand Prix run times. So this is great news for all of those power units and these cars actually under shakedown. Leclerc, third fastest, did 78 laps with a 1:16.6. Piastri, a 1:17.4, did 80 laps. Verstappen managed to clock up 118 laps today in the Red Bull, which is good news for the power unit and the powertrain. But it does lead me to believe that the story we've got later, which is from an ex-Formula 1 driver who says there's another problem with Red Bull Racing and the Red Bull car that nobody's talking about, and he thinks he knows what it is, and we're going to be talking about that later. Maybe this is an early indicator that he's right. Then we've got Gasly, did 160 laps today in the Alpine. That's good news for Alpine, again, clocking up 160 laps. Good news for Gasly as well, getting to grips with that car. Ocon did 85 laps in the Haas. Behrman, 106 laps in the Haas. Hulkenberg, 9th fastest, did 78 laps in the Audi. Bortoletto did 66 laps in the Audi. Look, the Audi is probably a little bit behind at the moment with regards to where that car's at. But they do say that every lap, this is what Hulkenberg was saying, every lap they are improving, and I do believe Audi will be much closer to the mark by Bahrain even. Then we've got Alonso, did 49 laps in the Aston Martin. Now this is what's interesting about the Aston Martin, and we've got a lot to talk about Aston Martin in the next section, the next story. But Alonso got to do 49 laps in the AMR 26 today, and Lance Stroll only got to do 5 laps at the end of the day yesterday. Do you think Papa Stroll's going to be on the phone and going, "Hey, Newey, how does my boy only get 5 laps in the car? I'm paying for all this." Yeah, 49 laps for Alonso. And I've got some nice footage. I've got some nice video footage of that as well. Bottas did 54 laps. Not in the Kick Sauber. That should say Audi. No, that should say Cadillac. Don't know why that says Kick Sauber. That's weird. I nicked this off Twitter. Look at that Bottas. That should say Cadillac, obviously. Kick Sauber. Whoever I stole that from, get it together. Get it together. Get your data together. And also, let's have a look at total laps completed for the whole week. This is telling. Mercedes managed to complete 500 laps, which is great news. Remember, they only get to run for 3 days out of the 5. That's some good running for Mercedes. Ferrari, this is the big surprise for me. Ferrari clocked up 433 laps with... And I thought the Ferrari was going to be temperamental. I thought they were going to be behind the curve, but that's a lot of laps. And Lewis Hamilton was quickest overall. Ferrari have got to be smiling right now. And we do have some words actually from Fred Vasseur, which we're going to share with you in a moment. Haas did 386 laps in total. Alpine 345 laps. Racing Bulls clocked up 319 laps. Red Bull clocked up 303 laps, which is good news for Red Bull powertrains, isn't it? Because that Red Bull Ford powertrain has managed to clock up over 620 laps, which is going to be great data for them. Great news for them. We'll come to their problem a little bit later. McLaren, 287 laps. Not enough. Not enough. Didn't take full advantage of the test at all. Audi, even though they've been there all week, only managed to clock up 239 laps. Same for Cadillac, 164 laps in total. And Aston Martin, just 54 laps. The worrying thing, we're gonna get to the good parts about Adrian Newey's AMR 26 in a minute. We're going to analyse it. But just from this that we're looking at here, 54 laps on track for that Honda power unit is not great. So they really are kicking the can down the road to Bahrain in 2 weeks' time to really notch up some good running time, because Honda are going to need this data, because you've got to remember, Honda haven't got any other teams running their engine. So that's it. Honda have got 54 laps on track. That's not a lot of time on track. Because Williams, who obviously didn't make it to Barcelona, they still have got all that data from Mercedes power units, from Mercedes, McLaren and Alpine. That's a lot of data. So Williams might not be so far behind the curve when it comes to that part of their car, the power unit. They've got other problems, but we do have footage of Williams, the first bit of footage of their car, and it's brilliant. But speaking of footage, I did promise you some good footage. How would you like to see that Ferrari in action? Good. Looks good. And speaking of cars that look good, of the AMR 26. I love that as well. Goes out on track, and Newey is as secretive as he can be, right? So straight away, you know, don't be eyeballing my creation, because it's so different to all the other cars on the track. Oh yeah, I did promise you footage from Williams. Are you ready?
You have enough leeway with that to move your head left.
Yeah, it's fine.
I've skanked you. I'm so sorry. The first footage of the Williams 26 car. So everyone else is getting witness great footage of Aston Martin, Ferrari, out on track. Even we've seen Cadillac out on track. We've got video footage of that. And then Williams put out on their social media today. And listen, I've skanked you a little bit. I've got another bit of footage from Williams. Here you go. You ready?
I need the hands, yeah.
Exciting stuff. There you go. Exclusive footage from Williams. I mean, come on. You've got to be embarrassed if you're Williams right now, right? Everyone else is in Barcelona putting laps on the board. Even Aston Martin have managed to get up 54 laps on the board. And Williams, on their social media post, they think the fans are going to be happy with this. Here you go. Have a look at the boys getting their seat position sorted out. Oh, God, Williams, stop putting it out. Let me say hello. Oh, just Hooks on Classics is in there. Great Auxilla. Hey, my friend, welcome to the chat. Nathan's in there as well. Ree. Yes, Ree. New guy. Welcome to the chat, my friend. You are very welcome. Great community here. Simon Davis. Cyber had only seen it with scheduled stop, but front left looked broken. Yes, Simon, we're going to be coming to that. We're going to be talking about the Aston Martin next. Reevesy. Williams, nice seat. Cerebral Assassin, this guy is great. I hope you're talking about me. not Williams. Great to have you on the show, buddy. Nathan, was that even a real car? I think it's part of the real car, maybe. Or is it just some sort of rig to sort out the seat? Yeah, I've got you on live chat, Thane. I'm on live chat. But yeah, it's not great, is it? If you're trying to get a load of fans in following us, we're not in Barcelona, but guess what? Look at Carlos Sainz. If you're Alexander Albon and Carlos Sainz, you must just be like, don't put that out. No one gives a shit about that. Like, we're not in Barcelona. Oh, yeah. Another big miss from Williams. Another big miss from Williams. But I do like this, though. I'm going to show you again. I do like this footage. I just wanted to give you a full rundown of Barcelona. Look at it. Look at the aggressive styling of the rear of that car. The cuts underneath the sidebar. The tiny letterbox intakes. It's like a zero. It's almost like a zero spot. I mean, it is sculptured. I saw someone describe the AMR 26 more like it's beyond engineering. It's like a work of art. Newey has been cooking, but we do have some expert analysis, and I'm not going to say from me, but I'm going to take you through it. So we've got a little bit of Gary Anderson from the race has done. He's really broken down the AMR 26. Actually, I think the best thing for me to do here is pull up a picture of it so you know what we're talking about. Maybe that one. So if we look at this car, this is probably. Actually, I think I've got a better. Stop this on a nice side shot of this AMR 26. Stop it there. Great. Okay. So this is probably a little bit more HD. Here we go. So let me take you through what Gary Anderson was saying. He's an expert. So I'm going to take you through what he said. The front and rear suspension appears to be pushed. Well, we know that. Push rod front suspension, push rod rear suspension. There's only 2 teams on the grid that have gone with push rod, pull rod. I have a feeling they will change their mind now they've seen Newey's car, because this is what happened with Red Bull in the past when Newey put the car out. I think it was in, I want to say 21. Everyone looked at Newey's suspension, and then pretty much everyone on the grid apart from Ferrari decided to go with Newey's suspension setup. So the front and rear suspension appears to be push rod. The front top wishbone, I said this yesterday, the front top wishbone is very high and has a very wide base for its inboard pickup points. And I said this yesterday, the suspension arms look super high. The rear upper wishbone also looks like it's inboard pickup points are very high, and the lower rear wishbone looks very low. The zero side pod concept is what I was talking about before. Not so much in terms of width, but in terms of depth, it's super slim. The intake is high. It's like a letterbox. I described it as like a shark's nose. And the exit is fairly well forward on the engine cover sides. He's described it as brutal. I described it as super aggressive. The engine cover behind that opening is undercut to the extreme. You can see it. It is sculptured. Red Bull is more like a Coke ball, but this is thinner. It's like cheekbones almost. It's so aggressive. The side pod itself is effectively an extreme double floor. This means the cross-sectional area between the wheels going from the front to back will be smaller than the others. And what does that mean then? Well, that means a lot less airflow displacement as the car passes through it, which should in turn reduce the drag level. So what we're seeing here with Newey's AMR 26 is optimized for low drag, which when you think about it, with this new era of car having 50% battery, 50% IC, what's the one word everyone's been talking about? They need absolutely to reduce the amount of drag, because there is a danger of clipping because the battery management's so key, where you might not even have enough battery by the end of the straight on some tracks, and it's called clipping, right? So Adrian Newey has optimized this car to make the drag absolutely minimal, and he has gone all in on drag reduction by the look of it. And then we look at the airbox design. It's smaller. When you look at the Racing Bulls airbox, it's like an air conditioning unit, and Newey, he's managed to get a much smaller airbox above the driver head, and there's a return of the horns on the side of the airbox. There's also a larger than most undercut between the bottom of that intake and the bottom of the driver headrest, which you can see that swooping line down the bottom. It really is, even to the untrained eye, very, very different to the other teams and how they have approached the aero design. Hey, Flaxton. Great to see you in the chat. William's seat looks great to me. Yeah. But it's very, very different to what we're seeing on the other cars. Auxilla, thank you so much for your super chat, buddy. It does seem like the teams have a Monza rear wing. Interesting. I don't see any barn door wings at all. And they've all gone... There's a commonality. Every team's gone with that Y-shaped rear wing. There's no barn doors. Everyone's gone with the Monza style rear wing, super low drag. The only thing I've seen that's different is some teams have gone with different actuator points on the wing, right? So some are actuating from the front and some are actuating from the rear lip. And I don't know how significant that is. I think Alpine have gone with a slightly alternative actuator positioning on the rear wing and the front. But the front wings, you can see some differences. I managed to get a picture. If we're comparing cars right now, have a look at this. So here's an image of McLaren, Ferrari, Mercedes, Red Bull and Aston Martin's front wings. Okay, they're not all perfectly positioned, but you do get an idea of the nose and wing design, and also some of that suspension positioning. Like if you look at the Aston Martin top bars on the front suspension, look almost flat. Such a narrow angle coming out from the body, and their nose to me looks like the curvature of the nose heading towards the floor is a shorter. There's a shorter sort of. Or there's a bigger bend, if you like, to the tip. Or if you look at the Ferrari, it looks like it's more elongated. They've also, Aston Martin have gone for this more bulbous nose shape, where if you look at the Ferrari, for instance, as a comparison, it's more of a pointed, more aggressive shape. Red Bull have gone with quite a bulbous shape. And the wing designs, they're not too dissimilar. But that gives you an idea of the front of the cars as they stand at the moment. Do I think all of these cars will look like this by the time we get to Bahrain? Probably not. Probably not. I think Adrian Newey's won't be too far away from what we're seeing right now. But what do I think this will do for all the other teams? Now, like always, when people get a little glimpse of a Newey car, by the end of in the not too distant future, all the cars seem to start to morph into what Newey's done. People will be looking at the aggressive styling on the side pods from Newey, and I think we're going to see some very different designs by the time we get to Melbourne. Thank you so much for your super chat, Auxilla. Brilliant. He also says, I'm surprised the FIA haven't standardized the actuator placement. Yeah, I mean, yeah, they haven't. It was, yeah, not that I know of, because I definitely know Alpine have gone with a different position. Reevesy says the wing actuator could be to reduce or increase tension. Yeah, I mean, I just find it, I'm not an engineer, so I don't know what they're playing with. I just know that they feel like there is something to gain from the position of the actuator, and it might even be the size of the movement of the actuator from positioning at different points on the wing. The actual distance the actuator needs to travel could be, the distance of travel could be less or more depending on where that's positioned. Does that mean you could have basically a quicker, faster operating, well, overtake as they call it now, but it's like the new DRS where it hits the straight? Because any advantage on the speed of those wings opening up is going to be an advantage, isn't it? So I think the actuator placement and the playing with that comes down to the speed in which you can reduce the drag of the wing down the straights. That's what I think it is. That's my guess anyway. Ree says Aston looks higher in the front, dropping aggressively to the rear. Are you talking about the nose cone, or are you talking about the engine cover and the side pods? Yeah, you're right. Hooked on Classic. The nose on the Aston looks like a platypus, but there's a few designs that have gone with that kind of bulbous nose. The Ferrari nose looks higher up off the wing than the others. That's what I thought. And Nathan, the thing is, I agree with you, and I think that's to do with Ferrari have got a more interesting channeling of the air under the nose. They've got, like, as far as I'm aware, they've got this almost like under the nose, because the nose is quite aggressive and high. They've got almost like these two struts that to channel the air in a certain way, and I think that's what it is. Oh, Thane, you missed my tyre comment above. Let's have a look. Oh, yeah, Thane. Less drag means less load on tyres in the straights, which means they will cool a lot on the straights, which could lead in a reduction of grip entering corners. Well, all the drivers have not complained. They've all said the load is far less, so which means obviously a lot less grip through the corners, and those front tyres are narrower. So how they're going to create a higher load and more grip, or are they going to focus on the weight reduction? I don't even know which cars. They haven't weighed any cars while they've been out in Barcelona or released any of those weights. I know that. We've got some cars that are believed to be at minimal weight, and I thought that the AMR 26 was a good 15 to 20 kilos overweight, actually. So they haven't released any weights while we were there. But yeah, they're describing it as like it's a zero pod, I guess, in concept, but it's not in width. But definitely not in width. But I think they are using what they learned from zero pod, or what Newey's discovered from zero pod, in this new pod design for Aston Martin. Can you call it a zero pod? I don't know if it's almost like a minimal pod. I don't know if it's a zero pod, but it's pretty minimal, isn't it? Jaman says the Racing Bull side pods look as similar and thin as the side pods on the AMR 26. I think the Racing Bull side pods were definitely, the undercut on the Racing Bull does not look as aggressive as the Aston Martin. I think the Red Bull's got a more aggressive undercut on the side pod compared to the Racing Bulls. The interesting thing about the Racing Bulls is I don't think anybody's got an air intake that looks as much like an air conditioning unit. They're surely going to have to do something about that. I can't see that's the best solution. Everyone else seems to have managed to keep that air intake over, the driver's head far smaller. So I don't know. But let's have a look at it again. I'm going to show you now we've talked about the styling on the MR26. We'll just see it one more time. Look at that. I mean, it's hard to tell because and you lose some of the lines, which is slightly annoying. Look how aggressive it is. if they're doing what Ferrari are doing and what Mercedes are doing and channeling the air out the back of the floor with basically like cutouts into the rear diffuser, which I'm sure is going to create dirty air for the car behind, which is what they didn't want to happen. I'm not sure they've solved that. But yeah, it's crazy. Hey, Skyrim, this is my newest F1 subscription. Really been enjoying the content. It's great on the headphones while I'm at work. Yes, Sky, welcome to the community. Delighted to have you with us. Really glad you're enjoying it. Yeah, very friendly bunch. Reevesy says, definitely the AM car looks completely different from all the other cars. Yeah, it looks so different. Will they change their minds now they're seeing Newey's car? Possibly. But does it look... But come on. Does it look as different as this one?
You have enough leeway with that to move your headlights.
The Williams rig. Yeah, I don't think it is the car. I think it's a... Well, maybe it is the car. I don't know. Or whether it's just some sort of rig. Oh, come on, Williams. You're going to get the piss taken out of you all night. So, yeah, it is fascinating. Drop Tune says, good point, Jaman. So, Jaman says the Red Bulls is attacking the cooling from two extremes. Minimum on the Red Bull and maximum on the Racing Bulls. Well, maybe that is what they're doing. The one thing that surprised me about the Red Bull... Oh, I need to get onto this story. So, because I'm going to spill the tea. Juan Pablo Montoya has been talking about Red Bull, and he thinks there's a much bigger problem, and it's not the power unit. So we'll get onto that in just a minute when we break down. But I also think the Red Bull, what does it mean that Max Verstappen's putting in lap times at Barcelona are 1.5 seconds slower than Lewis Hamilton? The good news for Red Bull is that the power unit's been reliable. So that's a big tick when it comes to Red Bull powertrains. But they've got to try and get a bit of pace out of that car. Anthony says, I bet that sounds fantastic when it comes out of the cars moving at the start of the grid for race. I actually think the Ferrari sounds good. I think all the cars have got a little bit of more of it's like a lower tone to them this year than last year. You still get a little bit of that electric in there, but overall, I think the cars sound better than last year. Yeah, Cerebral Assassin says, I feel bad for Williams because they've done well last season. Look, I'm hoping they catch up. I mean, we can't take away what Vols has done. He took them from a P9 team to a P5 team. I'm rooting for them. That's the big thing. I am rooting for them. He's got time to surprise us. Bahrain is what, the 13th of February, I think? So it's only 2 weeks away, right? Just under 2 weeks away. We'll get to see it out on track, and we will get to actually watch that. We'll do some watch-alongs, actually, because they're going to do an hour of broadcast each day. So we'll do some watch-alongs, and we can discuss the action together and see who looks good. Jaman says the sound on your audio drown out on your voice. Well, to be honest, I should let you listen to the audio. I should let you listen to the engine and speak after it, to be honest. That's what I should be doing, Jaman. It's very bad broadcasting of me to be talking over my video clips. But yeah, let's take a little look. But 2 weeks is going to go by. Oh, Hooked on Classics, 2 weeks is going to drag. I know. Well, think about it. With the off season has been, how many weeks has it been now? So December, end of December, we're in the end of January. We've managed to be on air almost every day, right, for 6 weeks with news coming out. So 2 weeks will go by in no time. And then honestly, we will be at Melbourne all together. Early start for me doing the watch alongs. But yeah, it's going to be, we'll keep you entertained. Don't you worry until the Formula One season starts. I promise we'll keep you entertained. But let's get into what Juan Pablo's been talking and about this Red Bull problem. So Juan Pablo Montoya says Red Bull are hiding their true concern about their 2026 F1 car. Okay. All right. Well, he thinks he's got the inside track. And let me tell you what he said and we can discuss it. Juan Pablo Montoya says Red Bull are worried about their 2026 electronics. So everyone's talking about the power unit. Nothing wrong with the power unit. It's the electronics that they're worried about. This is what Mickey's has said. I have to say, in terms of what we're expecting from the power unit on these first couple of days, I can only repeat how proud we are from everybody back at base to have managed to give us something that we can actually run with. That's what Laurent McKee said. And you got to remember that power unit, Red Bull Powertrains, partnership with Ford. We've got to give Horner some credit here. Okay, Horner set that company up while he was there, and he managed to steal 212 Mercedes engineers. He recruited 212 Mercedes engineers into the Red Bull Powertrains, the company, to develop that power unit alongside Ford. So Horner probably did quite well there. Give him some credit where it's due. But according to Juan Pablo Montoya, making it on track was never the main concern at Red Bull. Instead, they have persistent worries over the car's electronics. The individual engine components may be performing well, but integration is their biggest challenge, and they know it. And this is what Montoya said to AS Columbia. I can give you a little tidbit. I know that the Ford engine in the Red Bull already had the reliability and the power they were looking for. They have been more concerned with the electronic systems than the engine's reliability for a while now, and they still are. They don't have the drivability, how well the engine operates, how smoothly the power comes in, the integrations of the systems is new. Many of the engineers have experience, but they know that when they put it in the car, they're going to have problems. The way the power is applied won't be ideal. There'll be glitches. All of that is where I think Red Bull is going to struggle. So Juan Pablo Montoya thinks he knows. He thinks he's got the inside track, and he thinks the problem with Red Bull is they've never really had any issues with the Red Bull powertrain. But how they extract the delivery of the power down to the electronics is where he thinks the problem is. Could that be why we've not seen any pace close to Ferrari and Mercedes over Barcelona? Maybe. Thane says, here we go, he's talking about Horner. It won't take me 20 minutes. It was just a quick compliment. Credit where it's due, Thane. Listen, I'm not going to talk about Horner until we get Horner's official announcent that he's in with Alpine, and that deal's done. But yeah, I think that's interesting. I think that how does he know would be my first question. Juan Pablo Montoya, who's he got on the inside at Red Bull? I would have thought he'd have more inside track to Williams. Yes, Simon. Go and get that Vindaloo, mate. Great to have you in there, buddy. So yeah, it's interesting. And also, Anthony, I saw Anthony's comment there. Anthony says they will adapt Red Bull around Max. Well, did you see the show the other night, Anthony, when we were talking about it? Laurent McKees was saying that Max Verstappen is heavily involved in every single part of development, including the power unit, aero, decisions, setup, literally everything Max is involved with. So yes, he's definitely going to be giving his feedback from this weekend. With electronics, I don't think he's going to get his soldering iron out, and try and fix the electronics if it is the electronics. Jiman says, looks like Montoya is criticising the Ford hybrid part of the situation. Well, it does sound like it. If he's talking about electronics and he's talking about power delivery and he's talking about optimization, then that is all going to fall into that hybrid system. But is he also talking about integration into the chassis? I don't think so, because I think that's been because that would have been considered from day one, even with the build of the engine. So I don't think that's the issue. And I don't even know if he's right. That's the thing. How much do I take Juan Pablo Montoya's analysis that he's got the inside track, that Laurent McKees is all worried about electronics? I don't think so. I actually think Laurent McKees was worried about getting the car getting some reliability from the powertrain, putting some laps on the board. And let's remind ourselves that between Red Bull and Racing Bulls, they put over 600 laps on the board with that power unit. So I think now it comes down to software, development, extraction of power, battery management. All of those things are going to get fine-tuned. So do I think it's a big thing to worry about? No, I don't. I think Juan Pablo's just in there stirring shit up. That's what I think. That's what I put it down to. But it's interesting that Max was doing it in the 118s. So let's just and when we just analyse this again, if we just take another quick look at the lap times again, really, it's only Hamilton, Norris, Leclerc, and Piastri in the 116s. Actually, that's not true. We had Kimi Antonelli, George Russell also in there. So the top teams were obviously Ferrari, McLaren, Mercedes. They're the ones setting the pace at the moment in times, in lap times over in Barcelona. But laps completed, Red Bull are up there. You know, Red Bull power trains have done they've managed to complete over 600 laps. Obviously, Mercedes out in front with over 1,000 laps. Ferrari have done 433 laps. So really, I have to say, I'd say it's a successful, if I had to round this up, this is how I'd round it up. I'd say successful test for Ferrari. Obviously, Lewis Hamilton, he'll be taking his fastest lap time away with him. That'll do him some good. I think it's good news for Lewis. Mercedes will be smiling from ear to ear, super reliable, consistently quick, loads more to come out of that car. And other teams like Cadillac getting out on track, Audi getting out on track, Aston Martin only did 54 laps, but, you know, showing everyone else up, I think, in terms of aero. So I think, yeah. I think all in all, a very successful Barcelona test. And I'm looking forward to Bahrain now. I think we're going to see, I tell you what I'm really excited about for Bahrain. I'm looking forward to be able to see the pictures live where they actually be able, Sky F1 will actually be there, and all the other broadcasters are able to cover the action for the last hour of testing on each day. We're going to get to see it for ourselves. I think we've got a lot more to come from Adrian Newey's Aston Martin. I think he's going to set all the tongues wagging in the paddock. I think their engineers are going to be trying to analyse everything they've seen on that car and go, are we going in the right direction? Will we see different side pod designs, different front wing designs, nose cones, all before at Bahrain? I think, of course, we will. I think there's a lot to be discussed with the teams, but a lot of data that have been collected. So overall, I'd say successful. No real disasters. Poor Lance Stroll goes out to Barcelona and only gets 5 laps on the board. He's the real biggest loser of all this. He only managed to put 5 laps on the board. That's what I think. And hooked on classics, of course. We've still got some more livery launches. Yes, we're going to see the Aston Martin livery for the first time. We'll be covering that as well. Thane says, question, Max almost won the World Drivers' Championship with the McLaren boys playing with Papaya rules. What can he do this year with the McLaren boys and Ferrari playing with Papaya and Scarlet rules? Oh, well, if we're talking about what mind games Max is going to stir up the pot, oh, get ready for it. If Max has got a chance to stir the pot up in the media and play the meta game, push the buttons of Ferrari, push the buttons of McLaren, I think the real question is he going to be able to push the buttons of Mercedes? Because if Mercedes are so far out in front, and let's say Red Bull are really far behind the curve, and we're going to get inevitably the Max Verstappen conversation of will he be driving a Mercedes in 27? What does that mean? And all of this is to come. All of this is to come. McLaren, I feel, are going to have to be very careful about how they use their team orders this year. I think some of their team orders came back to bite them on their arse. I think a lot of the fans came to the conclusion Lando Norris was being favoured over Piastri. We did see a drop-off in performance from Piastri. I think all those learnings, I think we're going to see a different Piastri in the McLaren. I don't feel he's going to be as compliant as he was in 25. Do I feel he's going to hold his own a bit more? So I think all of this is... Max Verstappen takes all that data, and do I think he pushes the buttons? Oh, yeah, of course he will. Will he do it? Yes, he will. Will he be a bit more gentle on Mercedes because he's hoping, if they're quick and he wants to keep that relationship with Toto perfect so we can get that drive? He's going to get the drive anyway. Max would get a drive anywhere he wanted, to be fair. So, yeah, it'd be interesting how he stirs the pot up. And I really think, from a driver conversation, I'm really interested to see how Piastri responds this year to the competition with Norris. Are we going to see a quicker Piastri? Are we going to see a fair competition at McLaren? I think the answer is yes to both. Thane says, thank you so much for your super chat, Thane. Merc will fall off, not part of this equation. Oh, what, Thane? So you don't think we're going back to 2014 like everyone else? Everybody's saying that this is vintage Mercedes 2014. This looks like it could be a dominant Mercedes era. I mean, it's early to say that, but we are going back to, I think, power unit being a big differentiator for all the cars. Thane, controversial. Mercedes will fall off. Not part of this equation. A lot of people are saying this could be George Russell's year, This could be the year that Russell gets a World Driver Championship. And I think he's got to be in the conversation. I think George Russell has to be in the conversation for World Driver Championship this year. If the early signs that we're seeing from Mercedes is a continuation of what they could do in the development of that car and that power unit. Ree always misses live chat. Not tonight, Ree. You're in the live chat tonight, buddy. Hooks on Classic. Oh, what a question. Will Newey sack off Lance if he crashes too much? I don't think he can. I think the only person that can sack Lance Stroll is Lawrence. I don't think Newey has that power. Even though he's got a stake in the team, I think he's able to have the conversation, but would you want that conversation? I mean, you'd want to have it if Lance isn't good enough, but I think that the only person that can remove Lance from his seat is Lawrence. But I also feel that if Fernando Alonso, and that is in an Adrian Newey rocket ship, and he is on podiums, winning races, and Lance Stroll isn't also there or thereabouts, P3, getting podiums himself, I feel that how bad would he have to be is the real question. How bad would Lance Stroll have to be to get sacked? I think if he's this is what I think. I think if he's top 5 and Alonso's winning races, I think Aston Martin win the constructors, don't they? If you've got 2 drivers finishing first and 5th, you've got a great chance of winning. The problem is like when you've got a Max Verstappen Red Bull scenario where Max Verstappen's winning races and then your second driver's finishing 18th, or Max is getting podiums, and you can't have that. That's never going to even at that. If that was the case at Aston Martin, I think Lawrence would even say, look, maybe this isn't for you, Lance. I don't know. Yeah, and the big question mark at the moment, I think, is Honda's power unit. And I know a lot of people keep saying about Fernando Alonso referring when he was at McLaren and he had the Honda power unit and he said it was a GP2 engine. Not good. We cannot see that again. We cannot see that situation in 26. Shitan says, by the way, Aston Martin are scheduled to have a 200k filming day with the AMR tomorrow. Oh, brilliant. I didn't know that. they'll collect additional data and try to compensate for the delays in reaching Barcelona. Well, I also think for Newey, I think Newey would much rather collect data at a private filming day with no other prying eyes, no other teams lurking around. So that'll be interesting. I would be very interested to see what data we get out of that. Me Too on YouTube. It's hammer time, baby. Celebrating Lewis Hamilton's fastest of all in Barcelona. Yeah, we've got to enjoy these moments, right? Got to enjoy these moments. If you're a Lewis Hamilton fan, yeah, why not? Enjoy these moments. Enjoy these moments. And when everyone tells you that it doesn't matter, and everyone tells you that it's only a test, and everyone tells you no one's pushing for time, still enjoy these moments, because I tell you what, those drivers would obviously be far happier being P1 than P5. Reese says put Pierre Gasly in an Aston. Pierre Gasly's been impressive last year. I actually think Alpine are going to be far quicker than people think. Mark my words. Alpine have got the Mercedes power unit. They've not looked bad. They've not looked bad over this test. They've looked pretty reliable. They managed to get a decent amount of laps on the board. Yes, a couple of stops, but you'd expect that. But apart from that, I think Alpine are not going to be last on the grid. They're not. They're not gonna be last on the grid. Cerebral Assassin, Lance would have to put that car topped in every race to keep his dad off his rear. And then if they have a rocket ship, I agree. I think that's a fair assessment, Cerebral. If Lance is top 5, I think if Fernando Alonso is getting podiums every Grand Prix and Lance is top 5, I think they're in good shape. If Alonso's winning, getting top 3, and Lance is in the top 10, I think he keeps his job. That's what I think. Shitan says, I think Aston Martin and Honda will just be steps by steps for now, gathering data and put the actual car ready for round 1. I think that's what they have to do. Honda have only managed to collect 54 laps of data in a week of testing that was available. 3 days of testing that was been available to them in Barcelona. Honda won't be pleased about that. So the fact that they've got a filming day, great news for Honda. Let's keep an eye on that and let's see what we get from that film day, from the media, from their social media, and from data that might get leaked out. Yes, Me Too on YouTube. Don't underestimate George. I'm telling you, you can't rule George out of the conversation this year. Not yet. If anything, right now, from this early data that we've got, I think he's firmly in the conversation. But can we put Hamilton in the conversation? From this early data, Ferrari, could they be up there challenging for a title? Could Lewis Hamilton be in the conversation? Stirring it up a little bit for all you Lewis Hamilton fans. He was fastest in Barcelona. So yeah, it's all out there and it's been interesting. I've really enjoyed following Barcelona test over the last week. It's been really good. Chitan says, honestly, we can't rule anyone out as of now. It's Bahrain. You got to join us for Bahrain. When we're doing the analysis from Bahrain, the first Bahrain test, what is it? 13th of February, a couple of weeks. We'll do some watch alongs. So we'll watch it live together and we'll discuss it on the watch alongs as well and see what data comes out and we can discuss it. But yeah. And Sudrish says, yeah, Charles Leclerc is hungry for that WDC. Yes, he is. Yes, he is. And Chitan's right. There's still a lot of changes that could happen between now and Bahrain, but I'm excited for it. And I think we're going to get more comments now. Now the teams are all heading back. We're going to get them talking to the press. We're going to get their take. All the teams. We'll hear from Ferrari. We'll hear from... actually, we have heard from Ferrari. Let me tell you what Fred said. Before I go, I need to show you this. So we have heard from one team boss, and this is what Fred Vasseur says. He said that the Scuderia's mileage in the Barcelona shakedown is an important milestone. He also says, still lots of work to do, still a long way before Melbourne and the season, but I think it was a good first step. It's been an important milestone to be able to run, to put mileage in. I think we can do more, but at one stage you have to stop to refuel. You have tons of topics to scan on the car, from aero to mechanical to engine. Energy deployment is a big topic for everybody. It means that you can scan every single parameter. It's taking time, and the best way to do it is stay on track. And well done, Fred, because you have brought a car to Barcelona that has stayed on track. You have brought a car to Barcelona that's put in the quickest lap time. And Fred, don't forget, the sword of Damocles is dangling over your head right now from John Elkin. John Elkin's expecting results, is expecting you to deliver a championship winning car in 26. And as it was reported, you only got like 5 races to save your job. This is promising for Fred. You led the development of the 26 car. You decided to put all resources on the 26 car. Maybe this is paying off for you, Fred. So good comments and good result. And like Auxilla said, Fred also said, you know, we're going to see the Spec B car, the Spec C car. So Auxilla said, excited to see the Spec B car from Ferrari. What Fred said is, we're bringing the Spec A car, we're going to have a Spec B car, we'll probably have a Spec C car by the time we're in Melbourne. But this, thank you for your super chat, Auxilla, by the way. Really do appreciate it. So it's very good news, I think, for Fred as well. He looks like early signs of delivering on his promise, at least to be competitive. So Fred probably got a smile on his face. So watch out. We're going to see what the team bosses say after their tests this week in Barcelona, and we'll be covering all of that throughout this week. So great show tonight, guys. Really enjoyed Friday Night Live. Excellent. Thank you so much for your super chats. Thank you so much to everyone who's been in the chat. You've kept it very fun, very interesting. I will be back on no show tomorrow, guys, but we are going to come back with a Sunday night show. Oh yeah, Sunday Night Live is here to stay. So join me Sunday night, 7:30. Which is great because it's the end of the weekend. We can get our Formula One fix. Join me then, 7:30. Smash a like on the video. Don't forget to do that. Makes a big difference to the success of the channel. Hopefully you can join me Sunday night, 7:30, same time. Enjoy your weekend. See you then. Ta-ta.